What's going on, guys? It's KayGee here, the Football Capital A-League review show for week 2. I'm here with my trusty co-host, Borce.
G'day, Kev.
And we've got a few guests on the show, hopefully to become some regulars. So we've got Jos from the Sunday Ballers. We've got Lachie from Coast Watch Football. And we've also got Robby here. Not sure how I'm going to plug you, mate, but I know you've got some inside contacts with Adelaide. So, we'll let you touch on that towards the end of the show. So, welcome, fellas.
Thank you.
How are we? Cheers.
Guys, we're going to get straight into it. Round 2 for me, just touching on it quickly, surprises everywhere. As a Wanderers fan, disappointment a little bit, but we'll get to that towards the end of the podcast. But it's only fitting that we start with the actual Western United and Perth game, because I've got my co-host here, Perth Glory supporter. Borch, let's touch on the game. A little bit disappointed to see that Sturridge was left out, but not the result you wanted either.
Yeah, definitely not. Look. We looked at that. I think before the game, I put out a little prediction things. I got everyone to jump on board on Instagram. I don't think anyone really predicted Western United to get the win. Everyone went for Perth, and you know what? Once I seen that lineup, I was telling you boys in the group chat, remove all bets, remove all bets from Perth, because no Sturridge, but also no Keogh and Brandon O'Neill. I think he had a baby on the way. Understandable, couldn't be there, but I think that hurt us. And you look at it, you look at our bench, there's not enough depth to come in. Because if you're missing them players, we only got one player to rely on, and that's Fornaroli. And in this game, for me, Fornaroli, I don't know what he was playing. Was he playing the 9? Was he playing the 10? Was he out on the wing? He was trying to do everyone's job. And I think it kind of cost us at the end. We had our probably 2 of the best chances maybe to win the game. And when you can't take your chances, I know a bit of a controversial goal from Western United, maybe, possibly. But I don't know what happened to VAR, but yeah, disappointing. And I worry for us. Because I know we got like another, 8 away games, and it's not looking good, to be honest. Yeah,
boys, I don't know if you want to touch on it, but obviously Western United, we sort of called it before when we did the season, preview, was they're always going to be that kind of team that's a little bit of a pest, and they pick up results here and there just to ruin your season. I feel like this is one of those.
They could be, and I think they are. They always show up. I think last season, when was it, like a 5-4 game between the two, and every time we scored, it looks like they put one right back. So
not quite the goals that were in this one. It was a 1-0. But Lachie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think for Western, formation, it's interesting looking at the formations of these two sides now. And, John Aloisi deploying sort of a 4-2-3-1. I think it's looking a lot more effective. What that allows for then is Diamanti is now surrounded by, you got 2 fast guys on the wings in Connor Payne and Lachie Wales. And then Previc up top. Previc didn't really get too involved in this match. But it's really, I think it's going to work for Diamanti and Western United this season. And I thought Diamanti was really great in this game. And, on top of that, he's got Kilkenny and Lustica, set up behind him. It almost looks like now a team set up around Diamanti, which I think is what you have to do when you have a player of that class in your side.
Yeah, I've got my own thoughts on that with one of the Wanderers players. But, Robby, thoughts?
I was listening to it on the way, picking up the missus from town. So the first half seemed a lot more, intriguing than the second half. And obviously, as you said, there's a bit of a controversial goal. Going into Perth, and I know this is going to hurt, but looking at your substitutes, you're absolutely on the money. There's not a lot in there. Probably the only one I can probably give some premise on would be Pacific. Which I think the moment you start blooding him a bit more, you're going to start noticing his raw talent. But apart from that, as you said, Western United are one of those squads that are going to cause those genuine upsets every now and then. And I think the highlight from that whole round would have been the Sturridge, 4-hour flight, isn't it? And the enjoyment we all had.
Touchy subject over here.
Backflip.
Yeah.
But we touched on VAR. Thoughts on the whole situation?
I think the best way I described it last night with the ladies' league was that we should be changing the sponsorship to Pornhub. So if we can have the VAR sponsored by Pornhub, that way they can make you moan more than one way.
That's a fair testament to the VAR. I think there was a few calls over the weekend that probably didn't. Even yesterday, just touching on VAR, I just felt like even the game yesterday, the referee was a lot more in control, which was fine. This is the Wanderers game, and didn't let the game flow the way the VAR is supposed to work, which is let the game flow, get to a stoppage in play, and then review. I think he called it up a lot more. So I'm trying to understand what is it how is the A-League deploying the VAR this season? I don't know, thoughts?
I don't know if they are, man, because it didn't even look like they were checking that. It just, I don't know, to me, it just felt like, look, maybe from the angle that I seen it, it looked out, but maybe from the, if you have a bird's eye view of it, it's probably just touching the line, probably still in. But how are they to know that there's no cameras that, I don't know, maybe the A-League don't have them type of cameras that you see to see if it was actually in or out. So do you give benefit of the doubt to the attacking player? Maybe, but just by looking at it, it looks out.
Naked
in
eye.
my opinion, naked eye. Look, it does look out. I don't know, Joss. I don't know if you seen that. To me, it was almost almost in the grandstand. Let's be real.
Well, I was more like shocked and kind of disappointed, even as a neutral fan watching this game, as like why the Perth players just all kind of just stood around and did nothing after it. Like, I feel like there was you had a player on the line before Wenzel Halls was even there to tap it in. Surely, if you just keep playing the game, it's the age-old saying when you're a kid, play to the ref's whistle.
Yeah,
always.
I don't know. If that happened to the Wanderers, I would be vexed.
Yeah. I think it was
the players.
I think it was one of our own teams. Then, it is for Borce, but yeah, definitely like. And sometimes you get the rub of the green. I just think, it's still the player's responsibility to play to whistle, as you said. You're taught that at a very young age, but there was still time for them to pull it back. But obviously, we've spoken about the depth of the squad, and it's not quite where it needs to be for Perth Glory. But from a Western United perspective, hey, it's 3 points, and they're sitting pretty right now. And even the match against Melbourne Victory last week was only 1-0, so they might be somewhat of a surprise packet for me because I haven't picked them to finish in the 6. But look, we will move on. There is the Wellington and Central Coast Mariners game, and Lachie, I'm looking at you here because I know you did a bit of a vlog for the day and your travels down south. So it would have taken you about 2.5 hours to travel down there?
Bit of a hike, yeah.
Yeah, it just over 2 hours, and obviously terrible weather. I mean, if this is, I think, the third away day I've done. I went to Mudgee for the FFA Cup, and then up to Newcastle, and it's just been rain, cold, wind. It hasn't been great, but it was nice to go down to Wollongong, and heading into this game, I think after winning the F3 Derby, we were going in with a lot of optimism. And Wellington Phoenix, a side that I think people predicted to struggle this year. And it was a tough game. It was really, really tough. Heading into the we've got a few players out in injury heading into this game. Muller, Simon, Benny, and Kalolo were out. But still, I thought we looked really, really impressive. But yeah, just a shame that we couldn't get the result in the end. Even just at least a draw, we deserved a draw at least.
Yeah, well, coming back from one down, you think, you get the equaliser and then potentially you can get back on top of the game and hopefully manage it out there. You're right about Wellington being the surprise packet because I think I tipped them dead last. And I think when we did the preview show, they'd only signed 21 players out of the whole roster, and a lot of other teams had sort of bulked up in terms of names, and we sort of predicted where Wellington might find some of their players. But the game in general, I didn't feel like was out of reach for either team. I think it was still, fairly even. I don't know, thoughts, Robby, boys, Jos?
Yeah, I was watching the game just from home, and I just thought it's a very even game. Game of pretty scrappy goals. I thought if I was a Mariners fan, once again, if my team conceded that first one, I'd be pretty annoyed. Just deal with the first ball, and then obviously Arena's goal, just nicking the ball off. Was it Halls or Hayes or someone?
It was Josh Laws.
Anyway, yeah, Laws. There you go. Decent finish though, and then Sotirio's goal was a little bit scrappy. A lot of bodies in the way for Birigidi. I think it took a slight deflection off Jacob Farrell, but I was more intrigued about the pen But I think Reno Piscopo it was head noise city for Ben Waine. I think that's why he missed. I honestly reckon if Reno Piscopo doesn't say anything, Ben Waine puts that away and it's 3-1.
Yeah, right. Well, I just wanted to touch on the Soterio part first because he never did that for the Western Sydney Wanderers, and I'm filthy with him ever since he's moved. He didn't know where the goal was when he was playing for Western Sydney Wanderers, so spewing that he's put in that type of performance. But thoughts on the 3-1, Lachie? You were there?
Or 2-1.
Sorry, yeah, as in missing the chance.
Missing the chance, yeah.
Yeah, look, when you look at the stats and I think the overall play, I think Mariners were the better team. And I don't know if I'm just saying that because I'm biased, but, we
the bulk of possession.
Shots. Yeah, ahead in possession. I thought Bozanic was controlling the midfield exceptionally well. Josh Nisbet looked great. Everything was there for us, but just in the attacking, in the final third, we're still missing that little, that final ingredient. And that's why, I think I look at, losing someone like Matt Simon. Without Matt, he's such a unique player with his physicality, his height. We saw that last season. He really stepped up last season and chipped in with a handful of goals. His combination with Marco Arena last season was huge for the Mariners and a big part of their success. So,
is he still injured?
Yeah, he's still injured. Injured. So hopefully, we'll see if he comes back this weekend. But it's he's such an underrated player. His work off the ball is more important than anything. So hopefully, with him coming back and Nikolai Mauler, former Wanderer, hopefully he can do well for us as well.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Just on underrated players, is Ollie Bozanic the most underrated midfielder in the league? I think he's brilliant.
Underrated? I don't know. I don't know if he's underrated. I think he's thereabouts as just rated. Yeah, I don't know.
We were considerably weaker when he wasn't playing. And the perfect example is the Mariners elimination final against Macarthur SC. Ollie was ruled out, I think it was like the day of the game, and just completely changed the game. So I don't want to say he carries the team because there's plenty of other quality in the Mariners lineup. But he's so important to the Mariners lineup.
I think to that point, what he represents in your squad is going to be a lot more value to what he represents to maybe a Sydney FC or one of those teams that's maybe a Melbourne City even. But not to say that he's not a great player. I think he shines a lot more in that Central Coast team for the moment. And like you said, I've always seen Central Coast as that. That machine that just keeps developing young talent. And obviously they've got a big catchment area that they probably share with Newcastle. But the talent comes through. And, if you just look back, like Tommy Rogic, Matty Ryan, not necessarily saying that they've come through the youth ranks there, but there were players that played in the A-League for the Central Coast. Mustafa Amini as well, you know what I mean? So Central Coast are known for that. And more recently, I forgot his name. Off the top of my head, last season.
Aliqual?
Yes, correct. So another one there. I just think I never write off Central Coast because we've got history with Central Coast as a Western Sydney Wanderers fan. But it has been a really good, vibe around the club since the whole change happened and Stajic came in. And I know he's gone now, and Nick Montgomery's there. And Broski touched on Nick Montgomery as just a people person for the area, somebody who knows the area, represents the area, and I think that's it's a good way to continue that, that Central Coast mantra, feel, vibe around the club. You know what? It's got people like yourself, traveling all over to back them, and it's really good to see Central Coast doing well in the A-League.
Yeah, 100%. Lachie, I know it's only round two games in, but you're happy what you're seeing from the Mariners so far? And where do you reckon they'll end up?
Yeah, really, really happy. I think from an outside perspective, it seemed like a lot of people were highlighting Stagic's departure, and rightly so, because he was a massive part to our success last year. Montgomery has come in and he's a guy that, as you guys mentioned, has sort of been involved in the club for many years now. And he's a guy, we literally see him at shopping centers around the Central Coast. I've literally just seen him at coffee shops and stuff. He's a guy that he lives and breathes the club. And he's come in and he's playing a similar system to what Stadge is playing. And again, it's that emphasis on youth. And we're seeing, more young guys come into this team. Jacob Farrell has come into the team and looks like he's going to tear it up this season, hopefully. But I'm optimistic, but I think it's going to be hard for the Mariners to match the success that we had last season, more so because of the competition, I think, is even stronger this year. You know, when you look at Melbourne Victory, the way that they've strengthened, I think Western Sydney Wanderers are going to be really good this year. You know, there's so much competition. It's going to be hard for us to finish that high. I'm hoping we can just sneak into the 6, but, you know, in order for us to get there, it's all about, you know, our key players.
You'll have to verse Perth every week.
Tongies in defence as well.
You might have to verse Perth every week if you want to make the 6.
I think I was going to say we're all hoping to just sneak into the 6 right now. We're on the same sort of boat. But let's move on. There was the Melbourne, well, it's actually Adelaide United hosting Melbourne City on the weekend, and when I you know, I was sort of just following on the phone for that one before I ended up watching the replay, and it was 2-0 to some really key plays to Melbourne City, who we thought it's going to take a while for them to gel, but they came good. And then Adelaide United, you know, staged this comeback. But you know, Robbie, I'm guessing you were there. You know, talk us through the game. Let's start with the first half.
Yeah, look, overall, I was actually pleasantly surprised as to how we were shaping up. Very high up the ground pressing. We just made sure that Melbourne City couldn't breathe. I think that first goal really just clipped our wings a lot, and then from there got the second against us, and just we were able to get it through the midfield, no problems. But as soon as we started getting towards the final third, yeah, basically all we were doing was passing it around, trying to look for that entrance, and there was just nothing there. Now, I think a part of that's got to be, you know, Yingy is still trying to prove himself at the club. He's a fairly young striker. I know the one thing that I keep on seeing on all of our socials are, when are we going to sign a foreign striker? As far as I'm concerned, I've put all faith behind Yingy. Unpopular opinion, but I'm sorry, we've had multiple foreign strikers who've done jack. So I'm putting my full faith behind that kid.
I think everyone calls for that foreign striker, right? Like yeah. You know, I've seen Josh smiling because, you know, Western Sydney Wanderers are in the same boat, and a number of other clubs. Yeah, Dino Crescent J and Pierre Vicari, just to name a few. But
hey, no Crescent, just slander.
The Almighty.
I'll give you one example why it's a bad idea, and all I need to do is give you one name, and you exactly know why. Baba Diawara.
Well,
what can I say?
I think there's a long list in the A-League of, because the thing is, they go for the foreign striker, but not like you won't get the A class, but you get Sturridge.
You will, but then
right?
a 4-hour plane trip is a bit.
It won't make the trip, right? So, like, you know, everyone sort of looks for that foreign striker, but there's nothing wrong with the guys that we've got within the league, and I think. I don't know. I really want your thought on this. How do you feel about the departure of Tom Urich? You can be honest.
What's the nicest way of saying this? Apart from the finals last season, he was underwhelming. So as far as I'm concerned, I have a lot of faith in Carl Viet. I worked with him a fair bit in the NPL over here, and he's been blooding these kids since they were 13, 14 in the national training squads. He knows who they are. He knows what their strengths and weaknesses are. With regards to the Toure brothers, he never coached them. He just said, "I know what you're about. Show me what you can do out there, and show the rest of the country what you can do." And basically, you look at those two brothers, and they're absolutely freaks on the field. So, again, as I said, I have no qualms with us bringing in some local talent. I think we've got a good mix of young and older players now. I mean, you look at our midfield to backline. We've got Harvey Lopez, One-Day, and Issa, basically sitting there together, 3 La Liga, you know, legends playing together in the same team. So we're obviously doing something right, and it might be in the water. I'm not sure.
Well, look, it is a nice part of the world, but what I really want to know from Adelaide perspective, obviously, you know, being a fan, being at the game, 2-0 down against the reigning champions, what changed? What turned it around? You know, where was the moment on Saturday night that you went, okay, I feel something's happening here?
I think it was someone on the drums that got him going.
It might have been the drummer.
It might have been the drummer that got him going. There was a bit of noise pollution coming from my TV at times because then the audio cut off. I don't know. You know, these streaming services.
It might have been that, or it might have been the little back and forward we had with Naboo, because he definitely tried giving it to us, and then I think someone started chanting something along the lines of "You're just a fat Archie Thompson."
Yeah.
So even A-League memes picked up on that one. We were like, we've got something here. So I think for me the major turning point was getting Goodwin back in the field. How that guy, apart from obviously injury, how that guy's not called back into the starting 11 for Australia, I'm just not sure. Don't know what they're doing. So he is an absolute godsend when it comes to being on the wing, just being able to break up that play. And I even watched it, and you know, as soon as Goodwin comes on, him and Yingy are just connecting something chronic. That was basically how Yingy got into that position. Ricochets off the post, and you know, Mork's there for the tap-in. So that was basically where it started. And then that 90th from Halloran. I mean, if only we could give Glover man of the match for that brain fade, I'd be pretty happy with that.
It was pinpoint, that chip. You know, you can watch it over and over again.
Great
You just
finish.
he measured it well and just hit it. And you know, if you want to equalize in a game like that coming back, you know, you don't mind seeing a goal like that come about. But just touching on Goodwin as well, like, he is Adelaide United, right, through and through. I don't think he's played for any other A-League club from memory, and you know, he just lives and breathes the area. Whenever you say his name, you think Adelaide United, and you think, bloody hell, you got Goodwin coming up against you, and Halloran, he's another one that gives me nightmares as an opposition fan, and good to, like, for me, good to see them get the result in terms of a draw. That way, you know, it sort of makes everyone, gives everyone a reminder that Melbourne City are not unbeatable, and they do have a soft spot. So a big result. Boys, don't know if you want to chime in on this game before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, worth pointing out as well, Andrew Naboot's goal. I don't know if anyone touched on it there, but early contender for goal of the season, fantastic. And you know, it's not the first time he's done it. The outside of the boot, from outside the box,
wasn't against you guys.
Stunning goal.
It was against the Wanderers.
Don't remind everybody. Just
After remind.
I think it's funny that the Adelaide fans started chanting, "You're just a fat Archie Thompson." They've got really bad memories about Archie Thompson. I think it was five in the grand
goals?
final.
No, hang on, wait. I will state this. We were saying that to him as well. He's better than you. He's better than you. Archie scored 5. He's better than you.
Okay.
They've backed
Acknowledge
it up.
the legend Master Chef has been acknowledged. Sorry, Lockie, you were saying?
Oh, no, I just wanted to touch on Naboot's goal. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And I think there's a lot of, you know, people like sort of really were heading into the season really excited to see Lachie, Naboot, McLaren up front. And question marks whether they'll get clicking. I think they showed promising signs in this game. So we'll keep an eye on them for this season.
We shall.
Go, Josh.
Can I just add as well, did anyone catch the game on Channel 10?
No, I ended up watching replay on Paramount.
Okay. We had 2 drinks breaks within 5 minutes of each other. It was 18 degrees.
That's crazy.
Cup of tea. They're doing cup of tea.
It was too cold in Adelaide.
2 cup of teas.
Hey, isn't 18 like 36 in Adelaide?
Get the chamomile in, bro.
No, actually, their summers are pretty hectic. I've been in Adelaide on a 44 degree.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. A-League always come up with something out of the ordinary to do, like these halftime interviews. I will never understand them. I think Reece Williams yesterday wanted to
Jab the crowd. Jeez.
Yeah, wanted to
I think it's
get out of there as soon as you could. But I don't know about these 2 drink breaks. Get some vodka in them. I don't know what it was. Maybe that's what got him going in the second half.
the halftime interview is very rugby league, I think.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, what the next thing they're going to be doing, the guy's going to be running next to Naboo and just like, what are you going to do next?
Scores
outside foot, bang. Like that's the next thing, like just running next to him like the NRL. But I just think before we move on to the next one, Kev, I just think, do you boys think could it be a little bit worrying for the City that they've gone 2-0 up again? And this time against Adelaide, they did drop the 2 points, but it was a very close last week against Brisbane as well.
Goal disallowed.
The goal disallowed just, debatable as well. Do they need to start maybe killing games off? Because there was a few chances where they could have maybe grabbed the third, especially when they're on top, when Adelaide wasn't getting much of the ball and it was just City attacking over and over. I think that's the times where they need to get a third. Otherwise, we've seen what happened. One mistake, Adelaide pounce, get the draw, and in them situations, you never know. You could take another brain snap, and it's 3-2 your
3-2.
way. I don't know. Adelaide, is it a bit worrying? You guys think, or do you think it's just a little blip? And I think they'll start working on it a little bit more.
I think it's interesting. Sorry.
Go,
interesting. After the game, Jamie McLaren, I don't know if you guys saw his post-match interview, but he basically threw his defence and goalkeeper under the bus by saying he was pissed off at the result, but then he said, "I don't want to throw Tommy Glover under the bus," but you just kind of did, didn't you, mate?
Yeah.
So I think Luke Wilkshire touched on it after, saying that's a really problematic thing to say in the media straight after a match, because that could definitely start some unrest in that dressing room. And like you said, if this becomes a bit of a trend, City won't want to make this a habit. And that's 2 weeks in a row now where it's been a bit techie in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes for them.
Yeah, and look, it's only round 2 and he's come out and said that. It's a bit harsh, but and goalkeepers, the thing I heard this the other day about goalkeepers and it came to light for me was, goalkeepers make mistakes. It's just their ones are always, amplified. They're amplified because leads to a goal most of the time. But like you were gonna touch on the game as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's good that you brought up. I was going to bring up as well that post-match interview. It's really interesting to see Jamie McLaren sort of. He looked really upset, and I just wonder now. I mean, Paddy Kisnorbo is obviously still in charge, and it's mostly the same lineup. But I wonder if maybe whether egos are getting the better of certain people in the dressing room. There's only so many high-profile names you can have in one team. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on. I don't think Melbourne City have played poorly by any means. They've been fantastic in both games. But yeah, maybe the opposition teams are starting to figure them out. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they do.
Because it did show, if you when we touch on Brisbane a bit later on, the way Brisbane played this week compared to last week, you're like, they looked decent last week. Is that because City maybe, I don't know, they're still not to their best? But it's an interesting one. It will be interesting to see what Kisnoble does with this squad. And I don't know, these comments from McLaren, is it going to hurt the team maybe the next couple of weeks? We'll see.
Hopefully come off their pedestal.
I think we're versing them soon, so maybe that's when it falls apart for them.
Fingers crossed. But I've got to move over to my favourite result of the round. Sydney FC 0, Macarthur Bulls 1. I don't think anybody in the predictions picked this one. Boys, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was going to be a steamroll, maybe like a 2-3-0, especially off the back of how Sydney FC performed last week in the derby, missing Barbarouses, missing Bobo, missing Bratton. I just thought, okay, I think of Macarthur as a team that's probably on par with Western Sydney Wanderers at the moment. Probably not in squad depth, but just the way that they perform. And you know what? I never saw this coming. But I'll throw it over to you, Joss. You can chime in first. Thoughts on the match?
He's smiling as well. There you go.
Leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth because I just hate Macarthur so much as well. But for them to go and do Sydney over, that's always a plus. I think that ended their long home streak of not losing there at Jubilee as well. But yeah, I think Sydney are really showing like that they're lacking Luke Bratton, and that's going to hurt them massively this season. We saw it in the derby as well. They just didn't have that man linking the backline to the front when they're going forward on the ball. Because I think Luke Bratton is comfortably the best centre midfielder, like 6'8" in the league, in my opinion. So they're gonna miss him massively this season, and Macarthur capitalised on that. I think it's also important to recognise that Macarthur seemed to sort out their system this week significantly better than last week, because we talked about it on our pod. They just looked all over the place. De Silva and De Villa holding hands. They were playing a little bit like Jadon Sancho in his first few weeks at United, just kind of doesn't really know what he's doing. Six-a-side footballer.
Hang on a minute.
I know. I get at him here.
I already got what's his name? Tom. What's his name? Sorensen. I already got Sorensen I'm on his case already. But
for calling out Sancho.
For calling out Sancho, he's assists and 2 goals in a week. Not too bad.
He responded. That's all right.
Responded. But Josh, I was watching your pod last week. Who scored the goal here? Smith might know that one.
Lucky Rose.
Smith might know that.
I said it to him.
He was giving him an earful last week. What's going on? And he pops up again.
That's what we said. We said Macarthur and Milicic must have listened to the pod, because Smith
get onto the Perth players then. Yeah, your next pod, just rip into the Perth players, and we might come up with a result.
Well, I've said this for ages to him, because it's a running theme in our friend group. Spiff says that someone's like a shit baller, like Mikel Antonio. He got in him for ages, and he just started banging. Last week, he said Connor Payne was a bit He was a massive in that Western game, and the catalyst for their goal. And then like you said, Lachie Rose back again.
Can you get him onto Dimi Petrados?
That's what I said.
He looks.
And on the weekend, he got onto Tom Ahmed at halftime, and then within 3 minutes he had scored.
There you go. But for me, like a key result this early in the season, and you touched on them missing Bratton. I just think, teams have to sort of try and take advantage of Sydney's weaknesses at the moment before they get to, the return of Bobo, the return of Barbarouses full time. And then potentially bring in somebody to replace Bratton, because they always find a gem in the rough.
Yeah, but boys, jump in here. Do you guys think, like the players that you named, Barbarouses and all these players that are out, but you still, like Bobo last week wasn't playing, but you look at their team and you're still, like, they still got players on the field like Ninkovic, like Lafondra, that can get you the goal. They're still stacked. Like, to me, and we're talking, I asked Broski this question last week. I'm like, is it this the season where Sydney might run out of legs? Whether it's towards the end of the season or in a period throughout the season where they might lose their legs, or maybe just lost of ideas. Because you look at I don't know, even with their substitutions, no impact at all. Not really. Like the last 2 weeks as well. Last week when the subs came on against the Wanderers. I mean, look, you got to give credit to the Wanderers' defense, but they weren't really creating much. Like you're going to say a real clear-cut opportunity there where they might have been through and they should have scored. What, do you boys reckon it's because they've kept the same team for maybe 3 seasons or so? Maybe 1 or 2 players are coming in every now and then, and
they recruited the least.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Is this going to be the season where maybe they drop out of that top 2, top 4 spots?
I honestly think Sydney FC have become complacent. I think they've become set in their way of, we're just going to keep the same squad. We've got the money behind us. We can pay them what they need to. And unfortunately, that's going to hurt them in the long run. I mean, they're second from bottom now in, second round. I'm pretty sure, going by most of the predictions of the experts, they've had them up at the top of the table. And I honestly think that's not worth its weight in gold. The thing is, they've got a lot of their players as well heading over for Socceroos. So there's going to be a situation there where their players aren't going to be focused solely just on, the A-League this season. They're going to have multiple players leaving for international duty. So that's going to hurt them as well. So quite frankly, since the FFA ball boy incident, I couldn't be happier to see him this far down the ladder.
Nice. And Lockie?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think this could be the start of a mini downfall. I think they've got way too much quality to, drop out of the 6 or something this season. With Wilkinson, Ryan Grant, Ninkovic still there. But yeah, the loss of Luke Bratton is like massive, is really, really massive. And, I just think of the two sort of holding midfields they have in there now, and Caceres and Rattray. And, but it's interesting. I feel like both of those guys perform really well when they're playing alongside Bratton, when one of them are playing alongside Bratton. But when it's just two of them in midfield alone, it feels a lot weaker. So, yeah, I can see them slipping down from the top 2 this year now.
I hear what you're saying. They're very good in supporting roles, but no one wants to be the lead between those two sort of things. So it'll be interesting. No one would be happier than me to see the demise of Sydney FC. Long time coming now that we've been in the season. We've been in the A-League for 10 seasons, but nonetheless, credit to Macarthur. I tipped them to be in my 6 because I thought they recruited probably the best out of everybody in picking up all the players that they did, and I know that there were some rumours around the whole COVID situation that some of them weren't going to play, but clearly they've stuck to a game plan. They've recruited 2 really good attacking players that are controlling that movement forward. I think now we're going to start seeing the balance in Sydney sort of split 3 ways rather than the whole it was always Sydney FC, West Sydney, and we sort of didn't give Macarthur the respect that they I guess required. Now that might change, the dynamic might change. Let's see, because we've got a squad on paper from West Sydney Wanderers perspective, but it's not hitting the bill. We'll touch on that in a second, but we'll go to the other Sunday game. There was the Melbourne Victory game versus Brisbane Roar 3-0. All I know is that I didn't watch the game, saw the highlights. I don't know if Brisbane were playing. I saw just Melbourne Victory highlight after highlight, goal after goal after goal, and hurts to say, but Tony Popovic is there. He's put his stamp on this squad. He's now 2 wins from 2.
2 clean sheets.
2 clean sheets, which is, as anyone who knows Tony Popovic, defender, played for the Socceroos, was sort of, what he led he was the brains behind the defence at the Wanderers, and Ante Milicic led the Wanderers from an attacking perspective. And look what he's doing to Melbourne Victory. Boys, jump straight into it. Thoughts on the game?
That looks good. That looks really, really good. I mean, when you look at the personnel in that side, and even the players that didn't play, they were without Economides, they were without Roderick Miranda. A player who surprised in this game, who was probably man of the match, was Marco Rojas, which is it feels like it's. Yeah, he's just in and out of the squad. He's got injury problems, but this was a vintage Marco Rojas performance. Jake Brimmer was fantastic in this game. Brisbane did have chances. I think Luka Ivanovic almost scored. He had a shot that came off the post. But yeah, I think bringing in Tony Popovic as coach is just a masterstroke. He's going to bring success to that Victory side. I think they're going to be really hard to beat at home, and especially just the sound that was coming from the Victory fans. I think the crowd there was just 13,000, but it sounded like more than that. I think Victory are going to be really strong this season.
Yeah, big up the Victory fans. After their wooden spoon performance last season, still 20,000 members. Like genuinely hats off to them. Like that's fantastic to see the league. Even last week, the amount of boys and girls that went down to the Western game, thought that was really impressive. I'm a massive for off-field support as well as like on-pitch performance. So that made me happy.
Yeah, and we touched on the active support in another episode, but and another podcast. But we want the crowds to come back, right? Don't be like this whole COVID situation is sorting itself out in a way, and we want those crowds to return, because the A-League, I think, in the last couple of seasons hasn't quite been at its peak, and you need the off-field. You do need the people in the stands. You need the people doing the kind of stuff that we're doing now, which is talking about the league, to help encourage people to get G'd up about it in a sense. But it was good to see the result come through over the weekend. Robbie, did you want to touch on it as well?
Yeah, look, anytime Melbourne Victory doing well is not a good day for me. But I think overall, Brisbane Roar definitely just sort of lost their way. So what's scary, though, is they had more possession, They had more shots on goal. But just as you said, the highlight reel showed all Melbourne victories. So I think we're just going to have to wait a couple of weeks, and then hopefully the Adelaide United can knock them down a few pegs.
And probably to Brisbane's credit, they've played two really tough teams. Well, the previous champions, the reigning champions, and Melbourne Victory, who I've tipped to be up there this season purely on the fact of their recruitment and Tony Popovich. And you have to look at Brisbane and go, okay, well, you weren't. Although 3-0, that could have changed because that 2-0, there was a chance missed. I can't remember who it was. We just touched on it. I think, Joss, you mentioned the name.
It was an advantage for Brisbane.
Yeah, they hit the
Correct.
post.
Yeah, it hits the post.
And they went on to score straight away, literally off the back of that, I think. Yeah, right after, a couple of minutes maybe, which kind of killed off the game. If they score, if Brisbane maybe score there, you might have a final, was it start of the second half, but you might have Brisbane pushing on to get that second like they did against City last week. But you got to take your chances, especially against the tougher teams. You can't like Perth this week. They needed to take them chances against Western United and put the game away because for teams like that that will be struggling. If you don't take the chances, then you're going to lose the game, and it's simple as that. But I think Melbourne. Yeah, outstanding. The goal that D'Agostino is in that squad now, scored a goal. I think he was fantastic. And just the quality of the goals. And literally, off kickoff, like Melbourne Victory were 100 miles an hour, attacking with the ball, winning the ball back as quick as they can, going forward again. And even Broski touched on it last week. He puts Victory to get the Premier's plate, to get the minor Premiers. So it's not even a big shout because just the way that the last two performances have been, and like we said, we know what Popovich done at the Wanderers and also Perth, both teams minor premiers. You can't write him off. But yeah, look, Melbourne Victory looking absolutely fantastic, and like Josh was saying, the crowds was fantastic. Even I think Melbourne, the Victory put something on their Instagram, on their socials, that whole back tier of the goal. From bottom to the top, stacked.
Yep. And that's what you want to see.
Exactly. That's what you want to see. So which is good. And you want the fans, like you were saying, guys. You want the fans to come back. You want it to be hard to get a ticket. You don't want it just to rock up at the ground and just buy a ticket from the stadium. You want to be scrambling, to get a ticket like it used to be back in the day. Like last week, I got a ticket for the derby on the day
on day off.
Yeah, a couple of hours before kickoff. Where couple seasons ago, forget it. If you didn't have it before the season started, a membership or something, then you forget it. It's
you weren't getting.
So hopefully the A-League goes back into that direction. But it's so far so good in terms of the crowds.
You just touched on the game that you went to last week. How about the game that I went to yesterday? Let's go into the Western Sydney Wanderers versus the Newcastle Jets. I'm going to just kick it off with, it feels like a little bit of deja vu. It feels like a continuation from last season. I had a bit of a rant last night on RBTV, and I will share my thoughts just quickly in the sense that
we JT out again, are we?
No. I actually, no. I'm going to precursor the conversation with nobody out, no JT out, no Robinson out.
Ollie in, I heard. Ollie in.
Yeah. But no, I just wanted to cursor it with, start the conversation with, I truly believe everyone's being fooled at the Wanderers. From the board's being fooled by Carl Robinson. Carl Robinson's been fooled by the players. The fans have been fooled by Reece Williams, and the fans are fooling each other thinking that we've got the team to do what we've got to do because we've just adopted Newcastle Jets. That's what we've done. We've brought in Newcastle Jets, and we're like, all right, we're now the Western Sydney Wanderers.
You took their manager,
changed the blue stripe to a black one, and that's it. And we're ready to rock and roll. But it just feels like the frustration is growing with Western Sydney Wanderers. I'm going to hand it over before I start crying. And mind you, this is only after a draw. So, but that's
the question actually might be, what's the plan?
What's the
it
plan?
Actually might be, what's the plan?
What's the plan?
Yeah.
What's the plan? I don't know if you guys caught that video, but check it out. The What's the Plan video. We'll share it as well. But Joss, obviously another Western Sydney Wanderers fan. What's your take?
What's the plan? Nah. That first half was honestly one of the worst 45 minutes I've ever seen us play. And I wasn't the only one in the stadium saying that. It's a bit. I think Spiff puts it out the most, articulates it the best. Sorry, he says we've got an Everton feeling about us, but normally it takes us about 10 games. We're second, third, fourth, but this year it's taken 2 rounds. We're already seeing the cracks early doors. I think Dimmy, I don't know where he is. He hasn't even touched down in Western Sydney yet. I think the only player that could hold their head up high after the first half last night was Bernie Abini. I thought he was fantastic. Terry Antonis, he's another one that I'm not a big fan of personally. Just as a player, I think, this is his second stint at the Wanderers. He's been in and out of the A-League, Sydney, victory, Wanderers, Sydney, victory. I just think it's time to stop beating this drum. I'm not a fan of him. I think he's poor on the ball. I don't think he's up to scratch. And if Jack Rodwell doesn't start next week, I am boycotting.
Big one.
I'm getting a bit passionate. I'm getting a bit passionate.
You know what I mean? Like we just gave the fans, credit for rocking up the stadiums. We want to see the stadiums full. 2 minutes later, we got a boycott. Here we go.
Boycott round 3.
That might be the plan.
Yeah, that might be the plan. But
maybe.
But to touch on it, it did have that feeling of frustration yesterday, especially in the stands, being at the game, and we had chances to put the game to bed. I can't fault the guy. Like, he actually, for me, and I'm going to put my hand up here, 2-3 weeks ago I said, why do we need Jack Rodwell? And he showed me yesterday why we need Jack Rodwell, because he just proved his class on the pitch. That opportunity he had, I think he just needed to dink it over the keeper instead of I think he tried to go through his legs and didn't work out. But the squad is there. I just don't know if some of these guys have been has-beens, and I've commented, I've used the word has-beens before, and you just touched on it around Terry Antonis. Like, have we got the squad that would have looked good on paper 3-4 years ago rather than looking good on paper today?
I think it still looks good on paper. I definitely said on a video on Lockie's channel that I genuinely tipped us to finish second this season. But you know what? Maybe my head was in the clouds a little bit.
You must have watched the Reece Williams video and thought, yeah, we got this.
Well, even just the way we took the lead back, and within 3 minutes, and I think Rami Najareen actually had a chance 90 seconds later to make it 3-1.
Yep.
And we just crumble. We can't even hold a lead for 4 minutes. So it is a little bit worrying. If you asked me a week ago, I said there's no way we're conceding to Newcastle, although I think they're very exciting. I think that F3 derby encapsulated what they're going to be about this season under Arthur Papas. And our defense was just so solid, but Reece Williams, the brain snap of that tackle, man. And then I don't know, Broski said it last week, actually, we're too nice. I see too many players going into a tackle. Oh, sorry, mate, you want a hand up? And it's because, like you said, Newcastle are our foster father. They just give all their kids to us.
Yeah,
and they're all mates. So when Jack Rodwell comes on and puts in a tackle or two, he says, I don't care. And I've seen a lot about people saying that should have been a red.
Nah.
What are you guys thinking about that?
Nah. It's not. It's
a red.
It's a red if you want to be nice. If you want to play a nice, clean game of football, then you call it a red. But football in itself, that's never a red.
That was a Brexit challenge.
Yeah. So, Rob, you going to say something?
I actually got a chance to watch this game as a neutral, and honestly, as a neutral, it was an okay game. Obviously, anytime you got a 2-2 draw, at least you got something to watch. To be honest with you, though, Western Sydney Wanderers, that first half was absolutely atrocious. I mean, I don't think I've seen them play a game that poorly since the grand final here in Adelaide a few seasons back. Sorry.
Thanks for the reminder.
Anytime, any day of the week. But look, I don't think Newcastle have been given as much credit as they deserve this season. I mean, the F3 derby was quite an enjoyable game. I really enjoyed it, and I've got a few mates from the Newcastle, squadron and stuff like that. So they've always been, one I've watched closely as sort of a secondary team in the A-League. But, full credit to both squads. I think, the the ability to be able to bring it back from a 2-0, even 2-1, to draw at the end of the game, shows some spirit on both ends as well.
100%. Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well. Like, while Wanderers were poor, like below par in that first half, Jets were really impressive. These guys that brought Mikkel Datsi, this Georgian striker, looks like the real deal. He was getting really involved. Daniel Pena, Olivier Blumal scored his first goal in the A-League too. So I think Jets. Again, it's another team that's going to be contesting for the top 6. But yeah, from an outsider point of view, when I look at that Wanderers squad, it's terrifying. Like when Dimitri Petratos is in good form, he can tear up the league. Tomer Hemed, I reckon can be a really prolific goal scorer for them. It's a matter of if he gets clicking. But I don't know. A question for you guys, being Wanderers fans, is like, is Carl Robinson the right coach to take what is a good team on paper and take them into the top 6?
Just as if the lips. I'm going to say one thing about Carl Robinson. I don't think he's worked out how to get his best 11 on the field at the same time. I think that's where he's probably struggling at the moment, because even the guys that came off the bench last night, I thought did an amazing job. But the momentum was already there. It wasn't like they started the match. The momentum was there and they started pushing towards it to try and push for the result. So it's frustrating because towards the end of last season, I was Robinson out. Obviously, we've decided to retain him, which is, in itself, a showing of, commitment from the board. And then he went out with the whole idea about let's recruit people that are from Western Sydney, players that are from Western Sydney. And I'm like, oh, I love that. That's a great idea. But then, if the whole joke is, what's the plan? If you spend 4 months of an off season and you haven't got a plan, or you don't know what that plan looks like, that's where the first half, whilst even to a neutral looked disgusting, for me it was like they still have no idea, which is what scared me. They came out second half, they changed the way they were moving the ball. It was a lot quicker. They got wide a lot earlier. Adama Traore, I think, was a highlight for me yesterday in terms of his movement, moving forward, delivering the crosses, and even getting back. I just think there's a couple of changes, a couple of tweaks that they need to make. Aquilina got caught out yesterday terribly, like you saw it coming. Don't know where Ziggy Gordon is. So if anyone has any insight, might have to call somebody, find him. But I think Ziggy fills in that right back spot. Bring in Rodwell and drop one either. Well, I wouldn't drop Ugagovic. I'd probably pair him up with Rodwell. But then, I've got my thoughts on Abini. I think he can play well. It's not the best that he's played. I think if you remember vintage Bernie Abini compared to what he is at the Wanderers, probably not the same person. But get I'll go back on the pitch, get him on there. He looked really good last night. So I don't know, just frustrating to get a 2-2 draw at home against Newcastle Jets, who I tipped to be in the bottom half. But respect to them because they came at us. They came at us strong, and it was actually terrifying to watch how they made Aquilina look so bad. And then they did it to Tate Russell as well at times when the substitution got made on the right side.
Yeah, Valentine, you had him on skates.
I find it funny that you guys are both playing the same formation as well.
You know what?
Both playing the 4-2-3-1.
Yep.
It's almost like you guys are breeding Newcastle Jets for future Wanderers players.
and not just that though. They did it a lot. They did it a lot better than us. They did it a lot better than us, and they look scarier than we did.
Here's the elephant in the room: Charisi.
You had to bring it up, didn't you? Ex-Adelaide man. I did.
You know what? The snake wants to leave us. He can cop it. So, as far as I'm concerned, are we going to see him this season? Given obviously his stance on the mandated vaccinations.
Rumors tell me he got his first jab. But I don't know. It's rumors from the other podcast,
from the WhatsApp group.
From the other in time for the new strand to come in.
Yeah, exactly.
And they get the fans again.
So he officially does have a price.
Sorry,
what was that?
He does have a price then.
He does have a price, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, look, that sort of applies for all the players in the league, right? But Truisse is one of those that, for me, when we signed him, I thought, amazing, really good. He'll be a really good fit for us. I thought last season's formation didn't suit him. It didn't get the best out of Truisse, whereas I think this formation will. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to play.
Yeah, I don't think the Wanderers fans should be worrying too much, to be honest.
We are.
Yeah, I don't think you guys should be, because you do got the players, and we know once they start clicking, you're gonna get them wins on the board. And I said it last week with Newcastle in the derby against the Mariners. It felt like last week they needed to go behind to start playing, or go too behind to be like, you know what, let's just go for it. And I said if they play like that from the first whistle, they can get a result. And that's what they did against the Wanderers. They came out, they actually played like it was already 1-0 going into the game. They got their penalty, and even after that penalty, they still went at you guys. They could have got another one there. But I don't think round 2, not much to worry about. I don't think as yet. I know you guys, you and your manager, you don't rate him and all that. But if we're 6, maybe 7, 8 games in, and you're like he can't get the best out of these guys, almost like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you got all these players. If you can't get them playing together, then it's time to go. But I think at the moment we're 2 games in.
I give him 3 more rounds. He's got 3 more rounds.
Oh, that's all right. I thought you were gonna say 3 more minutes.
No, three more rounds
to sort this out. Otherwise, he's gone.
He's got to pick up minimum 2 wins, 2 out of 3 minimum. Otherwise, out the door. See you later.
Yeah.
KG's given them the United ultimatum as well.
Yeah. Mate, I'm not suffering through another season. I can't remember what a finals game looks like. That's the problem. I think that Robbo and Ole comparison is actually not so obscure, because I don't know if you guys have seen it. The local FC did like an interview with Robbo, and he's been doing stuff with a lot of the players, and they all speak very highly of him. And I agree with what you were saying before, KG, where he wants to kind of build our culture back up, because there's been a massive that's taken a massive hit in these last few years, especially when the RBB kind of got like shown out the door by the club a little bit when that was all a bit of an issue. So I think we do need to rebuild that culture as Ole did at United, but then to take it to the next level, you need someone else. And I'm not actually sure if Kyle Robinson has that in him. I don't think he's really a problem solver. It's either like his way or the highway, I guess. Yeah. And I don't think his way is necessarily going to get the best out of these players, as you guys touched on. Yeah.
Bring in Muscat, I'm hearing, yeah?
Well, yeah, I'll take him. But he brags about he brags and boasts about being a great man manager, but can't get the results on the pitch. And again, to any club, if you don't have if you don't have on-field performances that bring in the crowds, you're not going to get the best out of your supporters. Which and everyone knows, amongst all the active supporters, the RBB, what they did when the first season kicked off, and the success that we had on field. To Borce's point, you couldn't get a ticket to the game. And people used to come and watch the RBB.
Yeah, that wasn't even. I'm not even talking about a Sydney derby. You guys could be versing Wellington or
anybody
versus someone like Brisbane Raw. Come to town and you couldn't get a ticket. So testament to the 3-1 grand final win you guys had in Adelaide. But even that year we came in numbers. When we travelled down.
Honestly, the footage of you guys marching down the main street, us marching over the bridge, it was literally 2 sides coming to battle. Yep. And you guys brought it that day. I mean, you didn't bring it on the pitch, but you brought it off.
They brought a Roman candle. They brought in a Roman candle. That's what about. They brought in that final.
Look, it was a long drive from Adelaide to Melbourne, and a Melbourne flight back to Sydney. I'll just tell you that much. So,
I bet.
Look. Sorry, go
full credit to the RBB. They are honestly one squad that we absolutely I wouldn't say envy, but we definitely, there's a mutual respect there. And I think that is something I wrote in an article a little while ago about how we need to get the fans back. We've had people bitching and moaning for yonks about Foxtel. Guess what? Good riddance. They're gone, out the door. You know, the only thing that they can report on football at the moment is the EPL. They don't even want to touch the A-League anymore.
Yep.
We've got an amazing broadcaster who's getting behind us 100% of the way. They are actively supporting us. I mean, they spent $30 million just on an application for us to be able to view football through Keep Up. If this isn't the time for fans to get back out there, start, showing the league that they're going to, put some faith back into it, then we are basically doomed. So, I think those who are watching this right now, if you're not going to the stadium, tell us why. Let us know what you're wanting to see, because honestly, I've asked multiple people. Yes, there's been some situations that have happened in the past. Yes, there have been circumstances and, bad media coverage against, soccer terrorists and soccer hooligans. We're not that anymore. All right. We are basically there for the game. We are there to support our clubs, and we want to make sure that we've got these stadiums getting packed out. We only had 7,100 at Adelaide at the Cooper Stadium on Saturday night. It didn't sound like it. The good news is we've got one of those. We're renovating Coopers at the moment. I can guarantee you guys when you see it for the 2023, it's going to look glorious. But we need those fans coming back out. If you've got gripes, let us know what it is, and let's see if we can put them in bed and get you back out there. Because unless it's for you guys, the league is going to be basically going stale again.
Borce's gripe, it's a 4-hour flight to Perth. It's actually a 6-hour flight, but he can't make it over there. Him and Sturridge have the same problem.
The first 2 hours for Sturridge was okay.
Yeah, it was everything. Yeah, it was everything past that.
It was everything past that.
But boys, look, we will head into the end of the show. All I want to do is not so much a preview of the next round, but we'll call out the games, and you can just say which team or what the result's going to be. You don't have to predict the score or anything. But we'll do it in order. So I'll call out the game. Borce, you can go first. And then we'll go one game at a time. Let's go. So Wellington and the Wanderers.
Wanderers 2-0.
Okay, Jos.
I'm not doing Wanderers predictions anymore.
Okay, he's off. Robby.
I'm going to say draw 1-1.
Okay, and Lachie.
1-1 draw.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to the Wanderers. We're going to bounce back.
They're playing in Wollongong.
Get the loss.
All right, next one. Brisbane Roar and Adelaide United.
I want to go for Adelaide. They've been looking good the last couple of weeks. The last 2 rounds, I think they're going to get the win here.
Yep, Jos.
I think Brisbane will be tricky first game at home, but I reckon Adelaide too strong, 2-1.
Robby.
Hopefully Goodwin's back for a bit more time this time. Him connecting up with Yingy. I'm hoping for a 3-1 win.
Okay, and Lachie?
I'm going to go Brisbane win 2-1 at home.
Ooh, I'm going to go 1-1 draw. I'm going to go 1-1 draw. Let's see how it pans out. Okay, City. A Melbourne derby. Melbourne City versus Western United.
I'm going to go maybe 2-0 City.
2-0 City.
Yeah.
Jos?
Say 1-1.
Interesting. Okay. Robby?
I'm going to go a 2-1 win to Western United. I reckon they're going to watch what we did last week and jump on it.
Okay. I'm liking what I'm hearing, by the way. Lachie?
If Western win, it would create some drama for Melbourne City and the rest of the league, but I reckon City will be too strong, 2-1.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to go with City, probably 2-0 for that one. Sydney FC versus Newcastle Jets. 0-0. Beautiful.
There'll be 3 games in a row. These Sydney FC don't score. And I hope they have all their boys back too, so they have no more excuses.
Okay. Jos?
I reckon, I'll probably say, I'll go 1-1. I reckon a draw. I really like Newcastle at the moment.
Okay. Robby?
I'm hoping for a 1-0 win for Newcastle Jets. I just don't think Sydney have got it in
We
them.
all are.
Let's see if the Central Coast Mariners fans going to call it the same way. Lachie?
As a Mariners fan, it pains me to say it, but I think Jets look so good at the moment. I think they're going to get a win 1-0.
Screw it. I'm jumping on the bandwagon as well. Newcastle Jets 2-0. Let's get on it. I love it. All right. Macarthur versus Central Coast.
Ooh, it's going to be a good one. Where are they playing?
At Sporting
Penrith.
Bet Stadium.
Penrith.
Yeah.
Penrith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just after they said they don't want any affiliation with betting
Betting
companies.
Correct.
They go
Correct.
there, but anyway.
So good.
They're
And just
a
for
joke
that,
of a
and just
club,
for that,
I'm
we'll
telling you.
go for the Mariners victory.
On your Mariners.
The wife will be happy.
Josh?
And lucky, and lucky. as
And
well.
lucky.
I'll go 2-0
Yeah,
though. I'll
I'm-
go 2-0.
2-0.
2-0.
Nice. Josh?
I'm going Coasties as well. I reckon 2-1.
Nice. Robbie?
I think it's going to be as patchy as Macarthur's ground, so 2-1 to Central Coast Mariners.
Ooh, lucky.
I'd love to see us win, but I think Lachie Rose is in great form at the moment. I think it's going to be close. I think 1-1.
Yeah, I was actually going to say 1-1 as well. I was going to jump on the bandwagon if he said Central Coast Mariners, but I really think I think Macarthur's showing what kind of team they can be as well. And final game of the round, Melbourne victory versus Daniel Sturridge. I mean Perth Glory.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to make it for this one as well.
It's a 4-hour flight. He's not going to go.
Look, I think it's going to be 3-1 maybe victory.
Nice, Joss.
Yeah, I said 3-1 as well. Victory. Sturridge to get his first goal, and then go out clubbing and get in trouble with the cops. Media.
Nice.
Sorry.
Season ends there.
Love it. We'll catch that one on the next episode. Robbie.
So I think they're staying in the bubble over there now, aren't they?
I think so,
There's-
yeah.
Melbourne's classified as a low or medium risk, so they won't be travelling back to Perth in the next 6 weeks.
I think
I'm going to say probably Melbourne victory are going to be too good. Maybe 4-1. I think it's going to be a bit of a hiding.
yeah.
Big goals there. And Lockie.
I was going to go with the same scoreline, 4-1. If Victory win this game, they're 3 from 3 and, stamping their authority on the competition early.
I'm jumping on victory as well, but they're keeping a clean sheet, man. It's going to be 2-0. Sorry, Borch. They're gonna get you guys.
You're being nice, at least.
I was trying to be respectful because we got to do another show after this one. But but boys, we will wrap it up there. I just want to say thanks to everybody. We will go around the grounds, guys. Just plug your socials. We'll start with Joss.
So you can just find us on Instagram, YouTube, Sunday Ballers. My personal is Joss the Child. I'll chuck that in there as well. But yeah, pretty much just talk A-League. We've got a weekly show, Bench Chat, weekly pod as well. And then obviously on the Instagram, we're just always trying to plug Australian football, build the hype around it, get around it, lads.
Nice. And Robbie?
So obviously anything to do with Red Army, you can definitely find me there. I'm on Twitter as well, which is at RobDogs87. And I'm just starting to get my second article together for the A-League wrap-up. So stay tuned for that one.
Perfect. And Lockie?
Yeah, Coastward Football on all of the social media platforms and on YouTube too, doing match watch-alongs, preview videos as well.
Awesome. Boys, thanks again, and hopefully we get you guys around throughout the season on a weekly pod so we can talk A-League and talk everything around the results, preview, review, and anything outside of that. As always, thanks, Borch.
Thanks for having me, Kev.
Mate, anytime.
Thanks for having me.
And guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and get your comments into onto the video on the YouTube channel. Would really like to hear from you guys, whether it be anything about why you're not getting to the games, or your predictions, or your thoughts on the games from the weekend. But other than that, just want to say thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.